As controversy grows over remarks made by the industrialist Rahul Bajaj at an awards ceremony in Mumbai, where he basically told a group of government ministers, including Amit Shah, that this government was not open to criticism, and that's why there was this climate of fear amongst corporate India. Well, joining me live on NDTV on this is Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, who is of course chairperson and MD of Biocon, and someone who's no less outspoken herself. In fact, one of the few in corporate India who has spoken out. Now, Kiran Shaw, I saw that you tweeted basically a story reporting Rahul Bajaj's exchange in that award ceremony, saying, hope the government reaches out to India Inc. for working out solutions to revive consumption and growth. So far, we are all pariahs, and the government does not want to hear any criticism of our economy. So, in a sense, are we to understand that you broadly seem to be in agreement with what Mr. Bajaj said?
Yeah, I think Mr. Bajaj has always, been outspoken. He has always been the strong voice of corporate India. And I think it's good that he raised this issue. And I'm also happy to see what Amit Shah said. He actually said that, no one should fear, and if this is the sentiments, that he would look into it. I think that was the right response to hear from the government. So I think it was important for Mr. Bajaj to raise this issue, and I'm glad to see the government respond the way it did.
Right.
Though I do believe that, the response that the finance minister made, saying that, if that such criticism would, kind of get into a national concern if it is too strong, I don't agree with that. I think we are all very nationalistic. We all want the economy to revive, and we all want the government to succeed in reviving the economy.
Right.
And that's the point I'm making. Why is it that criticism is viewed as anti-national or anti-government for that matter?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because the funny thing is that you're right, that Amit Shah did say that there's nothing to fear and that, people are free to criticize the government. But almost as if to prove Mr. Bajaj's point, a whole bunch of other government ministers, including members of the BJP, have sort of tweeted against him. You mentioned Nirmala Sitharaman, who you're right. She said that there are better ways of seeking answers than spreading one's impression, which can hurt national interest. Hardeep Singh Puri, another minister, tweets saying that citizens, a country or society where citizens can weave fake narratives and hurl invectives at the government cannot be classified as one governed by fear. It's a society characterized by a fair dose of indiscipline. And you have the BJP IT cell head Amit Malviya essentially suggesting that Rahul Bajaj has benefited during the license permit Raj of the Congress.
Well, it's very unfortunate that, a positive statement from Amit Shah has to be followed by these kind of, statements which are not correct. I don't think anyone should, attack Mr. Bajaj the way they have. I think Mr. Bajaj has a right to raise the issue. I think India Inc. actually was relieved that he raised that issue. And I think, we should now get on with reviving the economy. I don't think we should start making it into a political discourse. That's the problem. I think everything starts kind of delegating to a or denigrating to a political level, which it shouldn't.
Well, it shouldn't. But then, where would you ascribe...
Suddenly,
yeah,
Mr. Amit Malviya...
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Amit Malviya attacked me saying, because you are because you have political motives, that's why the government doesn't want to reach out to you, which is ridiculous. I don't have political motives. I've made it amply clear that I'm extremely apolitical. I was as critical of UPA 2 as I have criticized this government for. So I have only one thing which I have vested interest in, and that is our country, and that is our economy.
I appreciate what you're saying, that when it comes to the economy, it shouldn't become political. But who would you blame for this? Because what Rahul Bajaj seemed to be saying was that he's also criticized governments in the past, as you say, have you, but that this government is much more prickly about criticism, and that's a problem. Because if you're not open to criticism, how will you fix the problem? Would you agree with that?
So I really don't know who is responsible. Yes, I agree that, I think the government has to be a lot more open. I think it has to have a broad approach to receiving many suggestions and it should be amenable to constructive criticism, because that's the way a government can actually grow and function in a more efficient and optimal way.
Right.
I don't think it should keep listening to voices that tell it that everything it's doing is correct.
Right.
Because I think that's not the way you actually anticipate any crisis.
But your tweet got a response. You must have seen that the finance minister tweeted back at you saying, to your tweet saying that, don't treat us as pariahs, meet us. She tweeted back at you with a list of all the people she's met, a number of trade delegations, industry delegations in different parts of India. So the government seems to be saying that contrary to what people like yourself are saying, that they are actually meeting India Inc. and they are listening.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that. I'm glad that they're reaching out and they're getting help from India Inc. or at least getting some support from India Inc. because that's the way it should be. So I'm happy if that's happening, and I want it to become even greater. So that's all that I want for. It's not that they should reach out to me personally, but I think they should reach out to India Inc. They must reach out to the industry bodies much more than they used to in the past.
Right.
Because all that I hear amongst the industry bodies is that it's a sort of a need to connect basis kind of invitations that they they receive.
Okay. But tell me this though, that if the government does claim that they are doing outreach and they are taking measures to try and turn things around, why is that in your view not happening? I mean, you saw the latest numbers, the growth numbers, we all saw that. There is a problem, yes?
Well, there is an economic slowdown. I don't think there's a denial. Nobody can be in denial. And I think they must listen to multiple voices, multiple, quarters to basically look at what is possible. If they keep only listening to voices who they think are their supporters and they don't want to listen to others who are perceived as being anti-government or anti-national, they are not going to get all the, suggestions.
Okay, but here's what I'm asking you. I'm saying that what is the missing picture here? Because I know if we get into talking about the economy, it could be a long conversation. But in a nutshell, what is the piece of advice or the steps that they ought to be taking, which they are not? Because to their defense, they could turn around and say, look, we've cut major corporate rates and cut corporate taxes in a big way. We've taken a whole other bunch of steps to try and stimulate the economy. But something is not working out. And as you said, if you could give them honest, unfiltered criticism or feedback, what would that be?
So there are multiple factors that are affecting our economy. One is, of course, it's about a very low consumption level that we need to tackle. The other thing is about the investment climate, which just doesn't seem to be sort of improving. And the third is, of course, about consequent impact on jobs. So I just think that we need to focus on the domestic economy. I think we do need to focus on measures that will stimulate consumption, stimulate investment, and thereby create jobs. I think there are many suggestions for all of these, but it is very sector specific.
Right.
Every sector has a different set of needs and a different set of measures. I don't think we can have a conversation on TV to address all of that.
No, I agree with you.
But at least each sector should be addressed in a different way. And I think if you bring those sectors together, I think you will find some of those answers.
Let me ask you in conclusion, ma'am, because when I spoke to you towards the end of August, I believe it was, and you had essentially said the same thing that Mr. Bajaj said. You said that there is a climate of fear in India Inc. There's a fear that if you speak up, and I'm quoting you, there will be some kind of tax terrorism or something that will happen. You'll have a knock on your door. Now, when you see what Mr. Bajaj said and you saw the responses to that from the government, do you believe that that is further going to silence voices within corporate India about those who may actually want to be more open in their criticism of what's going on?
Well, I don't think you're going to see more voices speaking up. I really believe that this whole, cloud will lift when the Prime Minister, when the Commerce Minister, when the Finance Minister actually calls a bunch of CEOs and has a sort of a roundtable discussion on the economy. I think it's very important for them to basically build that bridge between corporate India and the government. Right now, I still believe that they are dealing with us at arm's length.
They're still dealing with you at arm's length. Before I let you go, I believe that you also wanted to speak about a different subject, which is this terrible rape in Telangana.
Well, it's outrageous, it's appalling, it is heinous. I mean, none of these adjectives are really adequate enough to describe what is happening to women in our country. I think, law must be swift. I think justice must be swift. We cannot keep dragging things on. Certainly, we don't want to, have a leniency or a clemency kind of call on any of these perpetrators.
Right.
I just think we have to bring in and enforce law in the strictest possible way. Okay. I mean, how can you let these things happen in this day and age in our cities?
Right.
We know that most of the rural rape cases go unreported. But look at what's happening even in our cities. It tells you that society needs a cleansing.
Yes. Okay. Well, fair point, and I agree with you. I mean, this really has been truly abhorrent. But thank you very much indeed, Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, for speaking to us and for being outspoken as always. Thanks very much indeed.